Good morning. Join us once again from the park bench. Our weather today is overcast, dewy, damp,
Cold.
quite cold, a little bit of foggy breath. But it's a nice morning. There's no wind. The birds are happy. It's a good day.
It is a good day.
It's a good day. All right. So I'm going to start today with show and tell, something from the bench, and I've brought a few pieces along. I have some pieces that are kind of a series that I've been working on for probably way too long, but they relate to the sword that I was talking about previously, the one with the scrimshaw, which I'll continue on with after I've shown these off to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I'm just going to put these here first, and then I'll show them to you.
Oh, holy moly.
Bits and pieces. Alright, so the first one, these are some much earlier pieces. This is from around 2016,
Yeah.
I think, when we were living in Wainui. It was referencing an octopus or a squid. So we have eyes down one side and then beaks down the other. But the form itself is based on a bamboo shoot with these overlapping sections. And this has...
Nice piece, that one.
Yeah, it's just a little tabletop piece. It does have a stand somewhere that we made that has like some little squid legs. It's made out of brass. Not sure where it is right now. We probably took it off for transport at some stage and did not reattach it. But that's that little guy. Where can we see it?
You can go there.
And we have this piece. And these are a mix of antler and ostrich bone. This one's antler as well. This was a repeating pattern study. This is probably around the same time frame as the other one.
Maybe a little later, probably within the same year, maybe.
Yeah. There was a big piece that I did after this that was sold in an exhibition with similar patternation, but it was a larger form and the tines came out at the top, and I had a beak carved that was set into the top section.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that piece, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that piece is cool.
Do you have any photos?
Somebody's calling me.
Oh no. Alright, carry on.
Yes, so this piece, we have a selection of different types of patterns. The midsection down here is one repeating pattern that I've used multiple times in my work. It has these kind of undulating, kind of cell-like structures, and then this teardrop form. Excuse me. And everything wraps around on the sides, and then we just have this quite organic kind of compressed petal structure and like seed kind of nodules along here. At this stage with my work, I was going a little over the top with everything, kind of filling every surface, and I have a few pieces from this series that I never finished because it was just so much cleanup work that I created for myself.
Yeah.
Because the carving of this takes a while, but it doesn't take anywhere near as the same amount of hand sanding that I have to do to get it to the finish that I want. So this is one of those pieces where I was like, I need to chill this out a little bit.
Cool piece though.
Yeah, but it's nice to see the progression of work as you build a body of work. The next one I have, this was started a bit later, I think, but I had a few of this sort of shape, kind of, it's a section of antler, but it's kind of tentacly. There's a couple that sold that had knives attached of similar forms. So this one we have a series of I always forget what they're called, kind of like a limpet. You get them on rocks in the tide pools, these little little critters. And then again, another repeating pattern. I do tend to go quite deep with these to try and get a lot of shadow going. Sometimes too deep, but I like that texture, kind of lichen or see an enemy sort of thing going on. And then we have, this one was, I think I was working on this in Porirua as well. I was doing a series that had teeth on things. But the teeth are quite hard to force perspective on. So I probably started this and then thought, oh, this is hard.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. We also have kind of a mollusk section, but the gum to teeth area is something I really enjoy carving. It just takes a lot of time to get things the way that I want. But this is another fun piece, and they eventually will be finished. Hopefully decided if they are sculptural or if I will attach things, unsure yet. Depends on how I want to display them. Sometimes it's just nice to have it as a little kind of totem pole piece on the table. Yeah, to be appreciated. Sometimes they're nice to have a knife or a blade of some sort attached and then display them with.
They're not functional knives, by the way. Like, don't, you know, I mean, this is more.
You could poke something with it.
You could, but just to kind of reiterate, they're not to be used knives. They're more in that kind of art knife realm. So you know, try to be, creative with the way you're thinking about it.
A lot of the work that Shay and I did collaboratively early on was purely sculptural pieces that featured blades, usually Damascus, and often they were just small offcuts from bigger projects that he was working on that we transformed to something that became, more as part of that.
And that was a good time. We got invited to an exhibition.
In
2013, quite a while ago now. And 2013. Yeah, 2013. So 13 years ago. Sorry, yeah. Trying to do my math this morning, not working.
It's a while ago.
But that was a cool exhibition because the opportunity to do collaborative work wasn't really something we thought about at the time. We were thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll just put some knives in and you'll, do what you do. And we decided to collaborate because it was at Bowen House, the government building in Wellington, and we thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity to bring the knife and knives into a artistic realm rather than a functional realm, because if I just make a bunch of hunting knives, put them in a cabinet, it's probably not gonna, well, not hunting knives, kitchen knives, it's probably not gonna take much attention. It'll just be like, people look at it and they're like, oh, it's knives, that's cool, right? There's nothing extra to that.
It's a different audience that we were aiming to
different audience we were trying to go for, which was quite good.
So
collaboratively we decided to work on the stuff. I made, as Lena said, I made the Damascus blades, you made the handles, which was good. A lot of our earlier work was probably inspired by Chantal Gilbert, French knife maker, artist, jeweler. She was in a 500 knives book, my first knife book that I got when I was much younger. I still have to this day. And maybe I'll bring that book as maybe a subject matter for the future podcast.
Collection piece.
Yeah, but that book, that book is a cool book. So we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so
So Chantal Gilbert definitely influenced our collaborative stuff, and then obviously Owen Mapp's work had heavily been influencing my carving work. And a lot of sort of surrealist themes, and a lot of organic forms, bugs, sea creatures, lots of all that fun stuff in there. So on to the next ones. So we have another, this is one of the, what's the word?
Bone.
What was the bone again? My brain.
I think it was either emu or ostrich.
Ostrich, yes, that's the one. So this one has a kind of a repeating crossing over at the front, like a bamboo texture, and then we have these sort of nodules running down the side, and then again like another kind of reference to bamboo along the back. This piece is sort of at the 80% mark, and I just haven't finished sanding and polishing it. I couldn't decide whether or not I added something to these disc faces because I like to add unnecessary details. So that's why I stopped. I should probably just get it polished and then decide from there. But it will be a handle on something eventually. This piece is also a good example of a piece of bone that was probably not cleaned well enough before I received it. These were gifted from somebody, but there's a lot of fat has leached into the bone at the top half, so we have this very high contrast color from white at the base to like almost brown on the back section here. But when you're working with natural materials, and especially stuff you've been gifted, it's just one of those side effects, things you just work around. And it doesn't really bother me for these pieces. They're not meant to be perfect white examples of things. I don't mind if they feel like they've aged and they've lived a little bit. And it's just like, it is what the material is, so that's fine. This one very much feels like a totem pole to me, which is something that I quite like with these nice long straight pieces. This kind of reference point. I'm not directly using any kind of iconography from that style, but the form itself with the repeating pattern and the structure is very appealing to me. These last two aren't actually carved, these are just mock-ups. So this is a tanto handle. This is meant to go with the sword handle that I've been working on, the one with all of the scrimshaw. So this will be another accompanying piece, but you can see all the line work, how I lay things out, the same forms. So these sort of leg-like structures that come down the center. We have a wrap across the midpoint, and then in the background here is going to be like a ray skin texture, and then the wrap continues across the back, and then we have these sort of, again, undulating forms, kind of overlapping scales or like bamboo coming down. So this one's just waiting until I'd finished the other piece and then I would complete this and they would be displayed as a set. I think they'll be very cute. And then this last one is a sword handle. This one's deer antler. This one has more of an isopod or crayfish, I guess, shellfish kind of form with overlapping scales down the back, and then sort of a belly underneath there. And again, I've just traced out all my reference points on here and roughly cut in for where the lines are going to sit. A little bit of asymmetry is fine for these, they're not meant to be perfect. But this will be, I think I had an arming sword designed for this one.
Yeah, you've got it drawn up.
But obviously I don't have a blade and I have to work out. So this was meant to have a brass or bronze guard, and then the middle would run along the spine of the piece. There would be a cap, and then the hand guard would come across this section here. So lots of extra work probably needs to be done before I do a lot of carving on this. I would like to get the metal where I want it and all fitted out, work how the tang's going to be embedded, and probably then go from there with the carving. So that's my little body of work to show off today, and now Shay can talk about his project.
Move that camera back a little bit again. Thank you for that. That was cool. So many bits of bone, bits of ostrich bone.
A weird little oddities collection of works.
Yep. Cool. Okay, so what I have for my bringing from the collection is a knife. It's a knife from a good friend of mine who is named Liam Croft, who actually I haven't seen in a little while, maybe couple of years now, thinking about it. So last time I think I saw him, he was at our workshop doing a class. We did a kind of community class, which I might talk about after I've shown off the piece. So this is a really nice piece by Liam. We actually have two objects from Liam. This is a small little knife, leather sheath, carved sort of dragon on the end of the handle. I believe the handle's deer antler. It might be just some kind of bone. I'm not too sure. But this is a little Damascus, sort of a Pukoe-esque hunting bushcraft knife thing. It's a very thick spined blade, which is really cool. So it's a really nice piece. The inspiration, I think, from this piece he was talking about was, well, a lot of his pieces actually are on a lot of Nordic and Norse mythology and characters. So he sort of likes to implement a lot of these things onto his work, and that's sort of a running theme with his work. So if you do see it online or on the internet, you'll recognize it pretty quickly. Usually is my thing. I actually just realized I have 3 pieces of his. He made me a hammer as well, which I might talk about.
We'll have to bring that along.
The hammer's fantastic.
We'll link his social media here somewhere, so you guys can have a look at his stuff if you want.
Or it'll be in the description, because
or in the description. Yes.
Yeah. So that's yeah, it's a cool piece. It has this little wonderful little copper sort of ring on it that he's put a lot of time into. You sort of see that snaky-esque idea, and then he's got another little serpent on this piece of brass here. Hopefully that's in focus. You see, this camera's been pretty reliable. These edges are also steel along here, so it's quite nice having that there, which is quite cool. And the sheath is just very ornate. It's really decorative and has a lot of detail in it. So it's a cool piece. He as I said, haven't heard from him in a little while, so that's been pretty interesting.
Busy.
But he's been busy. He does a lot of film work, so he's been contracted a lot for films, and he's really I think he gets pulled away from a lot of this creative stuff more, and has to do other work to kind of pay the bills, which is how it goes as well, unfortunately. But yeah, we've been lucky enough to be able to sort of acquire these objects in the time that we purchased them. I purchased this guy at the 2021 or 2022 knife show in Auckland. I can't remember which year it was, but yeah, really cool knife, and bought 2 pieces from him. So the other one's a dagger, which I might show off as well at a later point. But yeah, that's my object. And the last time we had Liam in the shop, as I mentioned, is we were doing a kind of community course for some of the more prominent makers in New Zealand. We invited a mastersmith who goes by the name of Jackson Rumble. We got Jackson to come and teach us a mosaic Damascus class, which is, if you don't know mosaic Damascus, it'd probably be best to pause the video and Google it. But to put it shortly, it's a very organized way to assemble tiles of Damascus to create a particular type of pattern. It's not so much loose and organic. So this is kind of almost mosaic, where he's added a piece here and then a completely different piece and then another piece. So there are 3 or 4 bars assembled that way. So twist Damascus is a twisted bars that are all fused together like a Turkish twist. Could be considered mosaic in some ways as well. But we had Jackson come visit and teach I think it was 3 days for that Damascus class. Maybe it was 4 days. I can't remember exactly.
I don't know. It was just very hot.
It was very hot. We did it in beginning of February, which is January, sorry.
Yeah.
Beginning of February, end of January, I think. But really hot during that time of the year. It's not my favourite time of the year. Thankfully, it's cold now. But we had a bunch of knife makers come, and we all made mosaic billets together, which was really fun. I think we ended up getting 5 or 6 attendees in the end.
Yeah.
Sky was there. We had Liam Croft was there. Julius.
And we
Julius. We had Mark and Daryl.
Yeah.
And
Connor?
Oh yeah, Connor was doing it. Connor, who works with us, he was doing the Damascus. Which, by the way, he hasn't finished his mosaic bar.
Peer
So
pressure.
I keep giving him lots of peer pressure because that billet is 2 years old now and he's being a bit of a
waiting.
chicken about it.
Well, considering yours partially fell apart and you had to stick it back
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was a bit worried about his falling apart too.
Yeah.
No, so it was a great course. Yeah, you should look up Jackson Rumble as much as well. He's a really prominent Australian knife maker. He's the third master smith in Australia. There's only 3, I believe, or 3 or 4. And yeah, he makes some incredible work. He's gotten a lot of awards for best knife in the Atlanta Knife Show in the US. He got a couple of awards for best knife in some of the upcoming knife shows, Sydney Knife Show. Last year, or no, not last year, the year before knife show. So yeah, he makes some cool stuff. But
Very complicated processes, but very clean finished products.
simple lines, yeah, clean designs.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of goes with complicated Damascus patterns, but then that's sort of where he leaves a lot of his intricacies. He sort of makes a lot of kitchen knives, a lot of sort of Kediske profile knives, very straight lines, a lot of like octagonal like wire handles as well. So he makes some cool stuff as well. So yeah, you should look up Jackson and obviously look up Liam. Liam's billet is still in our workshop. He didn't finish his knife or his billet during the course. It's just sitting on a shelf waiting to be forged out. But I haven't seen Liam in at least 2 years, so I've messaged him and haven't heard from him. He's busy, probably doing film work or busy. Yeah, he lives in I think his hometown is Masterton, which is not far from where we are, but he lives in Auckland quite a lot as well, so he does a lot of film work up there. So he's sort of up and down all over the place. Not very savvy on social media, unfortunately. You just sort of never really hear from him.
His projects are quite... I mean, you have to go and check his projects out, but they're not small projects.
No, they're really big. Yeah.
He's probably... I think when he takes time off, he just disappears into his cave and spends however many 100 hours on a project, because most of them are very large swords, spears, axes. Yeah, his work is very cool. It's very process based again. He's interested in learning techniques. He's not stressed about
outcomes
being he's definitely processed, and I think he's more of one of those people that he gets better by repeating things rather than trying to make every project perfect. And you can kind of see that with his work. He's not afraid to try new things and take risks.
He made a spear head. He made a few spears, but he made a small spear, and the spear blade was made of some feather Damascus, which is a form of mosaic Damascus. But the feather Damascus is like the central ridge, and then the outside cutting edges of the blade profile was I think a different Damascus. I don't think it was twisted Damascus. I think it had just straight layers. But nevertheless, the feather pattern worked out perfectly for him, and it was his first attempt at doing a feather pattern, he was telling us. And he was so annoyed about it because now he's not sure about how far he can push things because the feather pattern worked. So now he's like, well, there's no... I think when things work the first time, it can be a bit of can be good, it can be a bit of a curse as well, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, when you try and do it again, the chances of it working the same way are a lot less. Yeah. We really want to add one of Liam's swords to our collection at some point.
Yeah, that'll be quite cool.
Got to have the extra budget for that.
So he makes swords, knives, all sorts of fantastic stuff, spears. Very, very talented maker.
And back to the mosaic class, that was kind of our first master class that we've been attempting to get some traction for. Unfortunately, we don't have a large population, so there's not a very high demand.
No.
And it's a smaller amount of people that can afford to do that, because we have to pay what the maker
is worth. Their time.
Is worth.
Yep.
Yeah, and these people are making $10,000 objects, so their time is worth a lot more than, especially if we're bringing them over. So Jackson's got to come over from Australia and take time off to be here.
I think at least 70% of the money we earned from the course went to him. Like that was the main thing,
Yeah.
So, and then I think the rest of it went on steel.
Yeah, steel and abrasives.
Steel abrasives and LPG.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah,
That,
LPG.
I mean, the master classes are really not about us making money.
No.
We don't pay ourselves for them. We're not really. We do try to factor in the shop costs, but we're basically trying to cover the consumables and then the cost of
Make sure the artist is paid.
Yeah, the tutor has to be paid the rate that they're asking. But we would love to have more people over using our space for master classes. We'd love to have people back. Obviously, scheduling is a little bit tricky, but it's not to say it will never happen again. We have a great space to run classes because we have a lot of gear, which really helps. And even from that class with Jackson, we would make a lot of changes to the process the next time, right? Because we've done it before. For this one, we didn't pre-cut the steel. We kind of waited till people had decided what they wanted to make, and then we cut it from there. This time we would just do strips of the different materials and make sure that's already pre-done. We only had one bandsaw, steel cutting bandsaw for doing the tile cuts. We have two bandsaws now, so because that was definitely a choke point. It takes a long time to cut the tiles. And you want like 4 spare blades because you're getting it hot when you're cutting 6 people's sets of stuff. But overall it was such a cool course. It was
so good. Yeah.
So
I had a good time.
Jackson is so knowledgeable. He's a very relaxed teaching style, but he has so much information to give you, which was amazing. And we would love to have people come and run more master classes. Obviously New Zealand is very out of the way, so if you want to come and have a holiday over here,
well, that was
and you're a cool maker.
Jackson did have a holiday with some other mates in Australia, so the plan was that he kind of came over, did a bit of work, and I think he stayed in New Zealand for about 2 weeks in total. So we had him for a day before and a couple of days after the actual course, a little bit of like pre-course stuff and some after-course stuff, and then he hired a big camper van with a bunch of mates and went down to the South Island for some fun adventures. So that was cool, and that was his first time in New Zealand as well. So having him visit was cool, and him appreciating the country and So for future people, anyone's interested, we just want to make it happen. Like again, like I really feel like the money is important, but like money comes and goes, and if you can just make sure the bare essentials are like paid for, you can make some really special things happen. And those events, those are what stick with people. The cost, who cares, whatever,
I mean,
and we're a little more conditioned to that now because we have a company that helps allowing us to experiment with those things now, and obviously it's not that easy for other people money wise, and we understand. Not that we're saying we're rolling in it either, but having the opportunity to experiment is something that people there's a lot of fear with that. There's a lot of what ifs.
Well, it's understandable. It is a big cost.
Undertaking,
but it's a lot cheaper for us to bring someone into the country and offer a course for multiple people than it is for New Zealanders to travel to try and do courses elsewhere, because we're just so far from everything else. You're looking at probably a minimum of $2,000 in flights wherever you're going, and then you've still got accommodation and the course costs. And it is hard. Like, we do try to jump on when we see registrations for courses elsewhere. Like, there's quite a few that they've been running in Australia. I missed out
on one recently. I was so gutted. But oh well.
We would love to be doing more courses, but priority goes to people that are closer by, or if they're on the wait list. But there are makers all over the world that we would love to learn from. But
if they can come here, then 10 people can benefit from that experience rather than us just going to benefit for them. Like, I feel like the course we had with Jackson versus the course when we went to Japan, because we did Japan technically first, then we had Jackson after. The Japan experience was totally selfish. Like, that was us wanting to enjoy the course, go have a bit of a sort of working holiday. It was mostly work. Went to so many galleries. But going to that experience, only you and I benefited from that.
Yeah,
Whereas,
I mean, we did learn, and we will
we
try
learned
to.
so much. Absolutely.
We are working on the things that we learned to try and share them.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah.
But it's not quite the same as multiple people having access
If you
to.
could have 10 guys come to our workshop and make mosaic, like, how cool would that be? It also elevates the body of work that people can create, and I think a lot of makers maybe just overlook that aspect of things, where they're like, oh, and I think, not to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but when you have knife making and other crafts instantly available to you on the internet, it can become really easy to have a preconceived notion of how those things are done because you've seen it being done. Must be easy, right? That's exactly what happens. But there's so many other little elements of watching someone in person, talking with that person, that you don't really get with even a really in-depth instructional video. You don't get those stories, those things that, those little tips and tricks, just ways to work around a particular thing. So I think people,
And the reasons behind technique as well.
Yeah, the reason behind it, rather than you just seeing it happen, you're like, oh, okay, cool, I've done that, but there's no meaning behind it. So I think that for people here that live in New Zealand, the Kiwis, it can be a little bit of they just don't think about that far into the future on what they could benefit out of having, a mastersmith or a really talented person who knows what they're doing in that field visit us.
Yeah, I feel for a lot of people it's not really a consideration if you know you're not going to have, or if you think you'll never have access to it as well. Like,
that's it. Yeah.
New Zealand is very heavy on peer-to-peer feedback, and that's kind of it. But that does make it hard because most people are working in isolation. Knife shows are kind of
the only social interaction.
The main social interaction for when we're seeing people, which might be every
I can't say that,
2 years, and everybody's doing things slightly differently. Like, we have social media, but it's not the same as
having a group of people.
Yeah, getting direct feedback. Like, written feedback is always, you're losing the tone, which makes it more difficult, and it's a little harder to back and forth than it is in person, especially when you're asking for feedback on pieces that are important to you. That can be quite a scary thing to do. Like, Shay and I have always been very focused on the progression of our work, and we're very hard on each other about things. Like, we don't ask for feedback from the other person unless we know that there's something that's it's annoying us, or we think that maybe we should redo or adjust it, because we will be very blunt with each other. And Shay and I've talked about it before, but like, a lot of the times I'll do something, I'll make something, and I'm not 100% happy, and he'll just look at it and he'll be like, just do it again. Like, it would be faster for you to remake that than to try and fix the thing that you're doing. Or when he does sword projects, he'll be like, does this look good? Is this done yet? And I'm like,
probably needs extras.
It needs extras like that. I always bring this up, but the little spacer on Basilisk between the Habaki and the guard, Habaki for a better word, that added 16 hours to his project. But it
was 16 hours just fitting it up, by the way.
but
it
looks
was
really
more
cool.
time etching it, polishing it, doing all that jazz.
Yeah, and added probably a week to his project. But I think it was worth it. Personally, I think it was worth it.
Yeah, I don't regret it now.
But you don't ask unless you want to hear that. Which you need to have people around you that can give you that kind of feedback. But we came from an arts background, and we had mentors that
we both
did
have
not
a degree
hold
in
back.
Art. Having between the mentors and the art degree, but for both of us, has given us a good place to sort of start from, rather than just going in cold and learning knife making from YouTube now, which there's nothing wrong with that for people now, where they are the people that do our courses now, where they come, they have little to no experience, and they'll go through the motions of creating an object. And it's not really about knife making as much about learning a craft, and you having that agency over your process, learning ways to do things, and all of these conscious decisions that you're totally oblivious to when you're beginning, you know.
And I think it's really good. Like, I think we said this previously, but if you're starting something like knife making, that there are a lot of nuances to things. YouTube is really good for showing you one version of the process, but it doesn't help you fix mistakes. It doesn't give you feedback, and it doesn't really...
It is a one-sided, one-dimensional peer thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. And if you were taking up a craft, this is not to dissuade you from doing it on your own. You should 100% have a go at things.
Start now.
Yeah, and you don't have to be good at it. Just enjoy it. But if you have the opportunity to learn from somebody else, it's so good to take classes and things. Like, we are always looking for the opportunity to learn from other people's perspectives, techniques, and especially when things are dangerous. You know, like, our craft has a fair amount of risk involved with it, and especially for people, and we talk about this within classes as well. If you are doing something like forging and all you've done is watched YouTube videos on how to build and operate that forge, that really often doesn't cover the health and safety. And we really encourage people, if you're building a forge, to buy the burner. Don't make it yourself unless you have, a gas plumbing certificate, because you can blow yourself up. You can give yourself carbon monoxide poisoning, You need to be aware of the risks with that. Buying a burner takes a lot of risk out of that to start with. You've got all your gas fittings connected, so that's all safe before you begin, which is a really good starting line. If you're using your forge at home, you need to have adequate ventilation or be working outside.
Lots of those things.
Always turning it off at the bottle when you're finished, in case you didn't quite,
close off
the ball valve.
Yeah.
Because you want to be sure that there's no gas left in the line and you're not going to slowly have a leak going, Just general stuff. And the same with forging things. Like, there are a lot of people on the internet who don't wear safety equipment when they're forging, using power tools, Safety glasses really take 3 seconds to put on. And
just on that subject, sorry to interrupt. I know we're probably just about time as well.
We're over. It's going to be a long one this week.
We've only got about 3 more minutes left on recording time. But very quickly, there was an instructional video out on the Australian bladesmithing page, and this guy was literally holding like a big polished finished knife, like holding it, and it was a sharp knife, and he was just busy drill pressing it and holding onto the object. And that video got a lot of flack because it's like,
as it should,
this is dangerous. Just clamp your piece. It'll take you just a few minutes. There's a couple of knife makers who have had really, really like near misses when drill presses have caught and sliced them open. So yeah, that is what it is.
Safe is better.
Be safe.
And we're always happy to talk about
hospital visits are expensive.
Yeah, it's and
time consuming.
Reattaching fingers. So if you're getting into it and you have questions, we're always happy to talk about health and safety and how to do things without losing a limb.
Yeah.
Or an eye.
All right. On that note, bye.
Bye.